KCAAradio.com.
KCAA. I go by the name Mike Flex, and this is the sit down on Inland Empire Radio airwaves, casual conversations on KNBC, KCAA, from Victorville to Temecula, from Pomona to Palm Springs. We are the IE. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the show you've been waiting for all week.
All week, we are back.
We are back. Call the police. I go by the name Mike Flex, and my co-host right now is Cosmo the Comedian. How you doing, sir?
What up, what up, what up? What you doing, man? How you feeling today?
I don't know what day it is, but I'm blessed to be here.
How was your Memorial Day?
Very memorial. Let's say that much. Yeah. It was a crazy weekend. A lot of stuff has happened. First and foremost, we have a super dope guest in the studio. One of our dearest friends from the community that's doing major things, and we'll be getting with him. I want to talk about the multiple shootings in the Inland Empire. Multiple. Let's just hope that there was no, death or anything associated with that. And I just want to recap the weekend. So, what did you do this weekend, sir?
Oh, man, you know
Talk
what I
about
did.
this Mickey Brown business.
Man, we had a 3-day weekend memorial party. We had Second to None. We had a Michael Jackson impersonator, Scorpio.
He was dope.
Oh, man. That brother looks just like Michael Jackson, man. I mean, I was impressed.
He was dancing
Man,
like Michael.
oh,
Didn't sound like
man.
Michael, but I loved it nonetheless. It was a great.
He did everything but cry on the mic.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Man, he was moonwalking. I mean, his complexion matched everything was down.
Did you enjoy yourself, though?
Super.
That resort
I can't
was off
wait
the
to
hook,
go
huh?
back
Oh,
up to
man.
Palm Springs and hang out with Mickey Brown and her
They
crew.
want us back.
I
want to
hang out with her
again.
crew, but I cannot hang out with her son.
Man.
Yeah, that dude right there.
What happened, man? Tell everybody what happened, man.
Well, I went live. I was invited to the event. I went live, and I got into a kerfuffle. Let's say that much. I got into a kerfuffle with one of her sons. But apparently he didn't know who I was because I wasn't wearing my shades. If I was wearing my shades, then most probably he wouldn't have had no big problems. He didn't want to be on the video, and I understand why. But I ain't going to say why.
No, we ain't
but
going to say
I understand
why.
why.
Yeah. Green Mile was kind of upset. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And
yeah,
he was
yeah.
big.
Yeah, that's what.
And bruh,
aptly named Green Mile.
He snatched the phone out my hand. He snatched the phone out my hand.
That's man. He's lucky you didn't have your Roscoe with you.
Well, no. Truthfully, I'm glad that the wife did not see that. She was in the area, but she did not see that because I know my wife. She would have escalated the situation, and you know how women are. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
It worked out fine. I won't be going back. No, I will be going back.
How'd you like your boy's performance?
Who?
Me.
Which one? Oh yeah, you held it down. You right.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple of young entertainers that's doing their thing. What was her name? Butterfly Amari. Songstress was there. She did the good.
The females was dope. The singers, man, they did their thing. She got her single coming out. She's working with Quincy Jones.
Quincy?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's working with Quincy Jones, and she's got some tracks that are unbelievable. She's performing all over the world, so she's definitely get props.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And I also attended RJ Polo's birthday bash at Mick Champagne's Lounge, which was super dope, super dope, except, okay, so this is how it goes. On Friday night, I go to the white party. The DJ was terrible. RJ knows this.
Who was the DJ?
We don't care.
Okay.
Saturday, I go to the all-black party. DJ was good, but I got into kerfuffle. So I don't know if I should go to the all-white people's party or all-black people's party. Either way, I had a great time. Before we get into the show, I just want to give a moment of silence, quick second, my sister passed away a year ago. And we were all familiar with Hannah Banana. She was a major figure in the Riverside,
Yes.
from Club Metro to Lake Alice and all in between.
Man, she was all down in clubs down University.
If you don't know who she was or she was the black girl with the English accent that sounded kind of like me but better than me. And one thing about my sister is she's always been supportive of whatever I was doing. I was looking through my Instagram posts, and there was a live performance. What's it called? A live. We did a live right there at Mission Barbecue Grill in Riverside.
The party was off the chain.
And she attended that. We did a live remote. It was one of our first, and she came through and supported. So I know that she's with us right now, and I'm rocking this. And even though we don't say it every day, we mourn differently. And so yeah,
that's right. You and her grew up in England, though, right?
Yeah, we overseas, grown, yeah. So that's my sister Hannah Banana. So to all the friends and families, this is for her also.
Rest in peace.
So, all right. Besides that, we got somebody major to me. Some of you guys might know him as E.T. Some might know him as Eternal Transman. Some of them call him number one. But nonetheless, I got my main guy in here from IE Sports Net holding me down, and we're going to interview him. Get on the mic, E. Let these people hear your voice.
How you doing, everybody?
Did he play it safe or what?
He is super safe. Because, as we grow, positions change. And so we're not the same guys that we was 10, 20 years ago. So I'm just honored to have him here because I've been watching his progress. I've been watching his growth. And I want to catch up with the new stuff that he's got going on. But before we talk about the new stuff, I want to ask you, Eternal, where did this come from? And I wanted to bring your father into it because I know your pops was a major figure in the Riverside City, and also
big up to Pops.
Maybe is it something that he did right now or did then that is part of you right now on this journey that you're traveling?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. To keep it real, it was more of my uncle actually.
Word.
My uncle was he's one of the first radio DJs at KUOR. At the time it was KUOR. And it was in Redlands, and it ultimately ended up being KUCR. And I was really just fascinated by what he was doing and how he was doing what he was doing. I mean, it would be, me being my father's oldest, I had the privilege of, all the events my father was into, I was able to go. Mm-hmm. So, my father was a guy, and I was able to be like the only kid allowed in those settings where it was all the guys. But I just remember vividly, them having like one of those old makeshift radios right in the middle of the table. And my uncle would be there, and I don't even know how I imagine somebody must have called him or something, but he was just really methodical about shouting out all the guys in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I just remember when the radio was there, just everybody getting all excited, when my uncle would shout them out. And that is, and that really is probably the thing that I initially fell in love with in terms of just really seeing that response and how that was.
Because he got the voice for the radio, right?
Did you hear his voice when he came in?
Yeah, the baritone. He should be doing some R&B.
Don't you worry about that man, girl. Don't you worry about that man.
So, you are currently the host of IE Sports Net. And I've noticed you've been doing a lot of stuff with the kids in the community. My question, bringing it right back to Pops, you was a wrestler coming up, right?
Yes.
And the only thing he was.
How did that work? Did you win some trophies? Did you?
Nah, I mean, when I was doing that, I didn't really gonna set my phone up real quick on some hood stuff.
Did you
on this
know
little
he was
thing.
a stand-up comic?
We're gonna
Right.
get
Okay,
there. What
we're-
happened? What
We're gonna,
happened?
we're gonna get to that in a
So
minute.
he's a wrestling comic. No, okay, my bad.
Tell him
Right.
hey, he did a Carl Lewis joke off the hook. I'm gonna tell you about it in a minute. You ain't gonna
Yeah.
believe it. You ain't gonna believe
Yeah,
it.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So wrestling, sports. he was
Yeah,
into that?
no, I was in high school. I was a four sport athlete. I played four. It was basketball, football, wrestling, and I ran track.
Okay.
But during that time, the thing that I really gravitated to in my high school career that really helped me out, what I'm doing now, is more so in theater. Theater was a major help for me, developing my skill, working with a more diverse community than I was used to, and being able to speak in public. Those were the things those are those tools that I use to help me out for what I'm doing currently.
That's what's up. What's up? So let's go back to the Riverside Community College days. Something
buddy.
about theater. Something about you guys
Theater.
accustomed or taking over it and setting up shop and running your script and making history, because we still remember to this day.
Yeah. Our RCC days were really great. It's it's kind of funny because the RCC days are separated by like the time I was actually a student and the other times where I wasn't a student.
Oh yeah, all in the same time. No.
Yeah, I spent about 5 years at that camp. You're supposed to be out of there in 2, but we were out there about a good 5, almost 6. You know what I mean? That those first years of going there, RC was a really different campus than it is currently.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on there that was not productive in terms of academics, in particular for us, for Black folks, and for people of color. Was a thing that was going on that was just not a productive situation for academics. And but even still, that's what we were into. We were just we were really young and we were just getting in there, and I grew a lot during that time. And there I met some people that really people like yourself, my man Cosmo, and those are bonds that we've had.
Don't forget Brooke.
Well, obviously my man Dunny. That's how everything started. That's how I was able to meet
number one.
all you guys. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it was. Going to RCC was not only obviously during that time, it was really kind of like finding myself personally. Trying to figure out what I was really going to do and what I was, kind of geared into. And all the stuff that I'm into now, I really developed during that course of my time at RCC.
Yeah, I saw you find yourself a couple times. Yeah, I've seen a couple of
yeah.
shows. Tell them about some of them jokes you used to do. Man, Ed was the kind of guy that would just go all out for a joke. He did this Carl Lewis joke, and I'm not playing. The brother stripped down and ran through the club like Carl Lewis, and everybody was on the ground.
Thank God we don't have social media then.
Oh, man.
It would have been on the net. You would have been
Shiny
on
black
the net. Somebody would have been
African-looking-
holding you for
Running down the
ransom.
Yeah, it's
But-
crazy.
But you had fun during those times.
Oh, no question. I don't regret any of that stuff, man. It was all a growing and learning process, man. I was trying to, not really. I was ultimately learning the craft and trying to figure out what I was doing, and and I still enjoy comedy. I just obviously I don't do stand up at this current date, but I still incorporate comedy and what we do with our radio show.
Yeah, it's part of our DNA. One of the things that you introduced me to was the social aspect of the community. During the time that me and you was running, there was certain things that was affecting the community that you chose to get involved in, and instead of just being on the back burner, take front line. I remember us doing marches. I forget the young brother's name that passed, but we was trying to do some consolidation between the blacks and the Mexicans on the east side, and that was ran by you. I brought my daughter out so she can witness that, and getting in the newspapers for that one event. But that's just one of many that you choose to get. Why do you choose to get involved like that on serious topics when where does that come from? The civil service part of you.
Yeah, I think I was raised in a conscious household. My father was. It's interesting. I look at some of the pictures of my father back in the day, and you can always see him, and he was always a basketball coach. He coached myself, my brothers, and he was
That's what's
all,
up.
all the
That's what's up.
basketball pictures. It was him coming straight from work, and so he'd be in his whites. You know what I mean? And he's coming straight from work and coaching us, and he was a fixture in our community. He was always involved in what was going on, and he had a pulse of what was happening in our community specifically. And so, and then as I started to develop myself in my professional career, I was able to get mentors and people that were doing stuff, and I saw how they were doing what they were doing, and I understood them, and I was attracted to the their their civil service and what they were doing, and I knew that there would come a time where we'd have to. It would be be our time to start to do certain things, and never was there really a baton being handed to me per se, but you just knew there were certain situations where you needed to step up. In that particular situation that you're referencing, Mr. Williams, and he was shot, right tragically, like right in front of his grandmother's house, and I just
Wow.
and it wasn't even it wasn't anybody that I knew or anything like that. It wasn't in our neighborhood, but it's still, to me, when they say injustice, somewhere is injustice everywhere. You know what I mean? And so I thought that was something that we needed to do something about. And I was actually a little bit in shock that I didn't, because I was thinking we were gonna just, because my that plight of social consciousness kind of started with Taisha Miller, and
Yes.
I was in '98.
Yeah, y'all remember that? Yeah.
And I was really kind of that's how everything really started for me, where we started to as a grassroots thing started to really cover that, and that kind of we were doing the hip hop show at the time, and when that happened in '98 of December. December of '98, excuse me, that kind of pivoted everything. Everything, kind of shifted from what we were doing as a hip hop show to being a little bit more conscious about what was going on in our community. And so, when that happened with Mr. Williams, I was able to get good mentorship about what we should do, and I already kind of had it in my mind what we were going to do, and that was really bridging the gap. I found out a lot about that day. That day was a really I was actually speaking to a brother about that last night, about what I learned about that day, because I think when I came in that day I was the goal was to when we were going down to Patterson Park, what I learned about it was I had a personal experience at that park, where the more of the Mexican side of the community, they were doing something different over there. You know what I mean? And then I kind of, when I talked about that park, everybody was like, man, you ain't supposed to be over there. You know what I mean? And then, I remember some of the older guys like, back in the day, that's where we played. That's where we did. We played baseball, and that's what we were. And I just thought, like, that's crazy that we're in a situation where we can't go to certain parks, or we can't do certain things. Our kids can't go certain, we all live in that same community. So the goal when that happened was to just make kind of a statement to say, hey, we're gonna come over here, we're gonna walk down here, and we're going to just make a statement by saying that, hey, this is all of our community kind of situation. And what I learned about it was the response from because as we crossed over a certain area, and it kind of we were kind of getting in two different areas. We were like in the quote unquote black community, and then we crossed over into the quote unquote Mexican community. And what I learned in that time, where there was a lot of the Latino moms, the Mexican moms that were out there, and they came out there to greet us, and you can see that they were concerned, just as concerned as we were. And I think what I learned about that was they were concerned about the retaliatory actions. Somebody coming back and going and just randomly shooting one of their kids.
Yeah.
And so they didn't they didn't want that. So they're like, hey, we're in the and so that really during that time it really kind of changed what I was thinking, like the way I was thinking about certain things and how I thought about certain stuff. And that was to me that particular situation was a powerful moment for me about learning about how we need to be more inclusive about what we're doing. And so, nowadays when I do stuff like that, I try to be a lot more inclusive in what we're doing in terms of it just being not just a black person doing it. It needs to be, I need to grab somebody from the Mexican/Latino community as well and make sure that they, because they have the same concerns as we do.
Yeah.
It's gotten better though with the Latino and blacks though in certain parts. I mean, in San Bernardino, maybe not, but
No, in San Bernardino is different math. Remember, it's a different tribe out there.
Yeah.
They work differently. But during that time, did you, I like to use this word, make some political connections? Did you get yourself?
Because
it's always gang connections.
Did you make some networks?
Certainly,
that works.
Well, certainly, but it was. I don't know that it happened just specifically because of that. I think at the time there was already some things I was working with. People like Dale Roberts, who's been a fixture in our community, has been doing it.
Peace to Dale, my uncle.
Way before I was even born. He's been doing this thing, and so there are people like that out there that were doing.
Is that
stuff.
the $1 man?
Pardon?
Remember the story that you told me about some cat? You just give us $1 just to show up.
No, that's actually that was our other mentor, and that was Johnny Harris. And that's
Johnny
he
Harris.
was another person that really
the preacher, right?
Yeah. Street guy turned preacher though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very.
Johnny Harris has been in Riverside, holding it down for a minute.
Yeah,
I remember before he was a preacher. Woo!
Yeah, he was Sugar Free Senior.
Sugar Free Senior.
That's what's up.
Johnny Harris was another gentleman that really influenced me a great deal. At RCC, he created the campaign of always keep the main thing, and Damon, and Brooke and I, we, to this day, that's still one of our fundamental things we roll with. He came in and his role, why he got high, he almost kind of had like we call it the academic Master P deal, because RCC gave him so much money, and they weren't. And they, everybody says like he broke the bank, but what he did there was phenomenal. Honestly, if it sticks with somebody like that to this day, that was almost.
Yeah, he's still growing.
I was almost
he's still growing.
30 years ago.
Almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And what he did for you guys, you guys translated it on to me also. You dig? So I came around you guys after the fact, and whatever this Mr. Harris did, it translated into you guys' character, and you guys took that on more.
Was that when the Juke joint was out? Was that when the Juke?
A little bit before that.
Yeah. The Juke joint. Hey, the Juke joint was hot because that ran for like a year, 2 years.
Man, a couple.
In
different sections.
It ran for quite a while, but it was as Mike said, it was in different segments.
All right. I want to come back. Are we almost for the commercial time? Run that commercial and we'll come right back with Eternal Transmit, IE Sportsnet, Mike Flex, Cosmo.
I go by the name Mike Flex, and I am so honored to tell you about EYS. That's Envision Youth Services, out of the greater Los Angeles area. Envision Youth Services has been operating since 2018, supporting underserved youth and mentorship for young adults. They believe that support and engagement is very crucial, promoting self-esteem, community responsibility, integrity, and social development. Sign up, get on the list, and get to know Envision Youth Services. That's Envision with an E, Youth Services. www.envisionuservices.org. I go by the name Mike Flex, and my friend Di Lansky of What's the Word podcast introduced me to Crenshaw Wear, located at 6526 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, California, home of Rich Bear clothing brand. There's Rich Bear Louis Edition, Rich Bear OG Bear Edition, Rich Bear Jumpman Edition, and Nipsey Hussle Crenshaw Wear Edition. In that spirit, every race can be a Rich Bear, from relaxing sweatsuits to stepping out on the town tonight. Rich Bear fits all occasions. Go to richbearclothing.com and follow Crenshaw Wear on social media. That's richbear.com and follow social media Crenshaw Wear. I go by the name of Mike Flex, and I was scrolling through my social media sites, and if you're anything like me, you're into luxury timepieces. I found a company by the name of 17 Watches by Chris Johnson. He is a 17-year veteran of the U.S. Army, and his story is unbelievable. Keep in mind, you can't buy class, but you can afford style. 17 Watches by Chris Johnson on all social media sites. I go by the name Mike Flex. When I became a dad, I actually encouraged my daughters to try a new sport every year. I wanted her to learn teamwork, how to win and lose with grace, and build her self-esteem. That's why I'm telling you about IE Sportsnet on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app. Radio host Coach B and Eternal does a fantastic job of showcasing youth sports. They get the coaches to bring the kids into the studio, roll out the red carpet, and treat those kids like superstars on their platform. Check out their new magazine. They have hundreds of videos and podcast shows to view on their website. The official play-by-play announcers for the Ontario Clippers, IE Sportsnet, the Inner Empire Sports Authority, available on Fox Sports Radio, 1350, and the iHeartRadio app worldwide. That's why I'm telling you about IE Sportsnet on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you for spending your evening. Like I said, we're the hottest thing for this 1 hour. We have in the studio Eternal Transmit, my personal friend, nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? Real quick, let's get into some hot mess.
Come, man, bring it.
All right, hot mess is the shootings. We had a couple shootings out here. What's this one I'm looking at? It could be.
Please don't be black. Please don't be black. Please don't be black.
The issue is the mall shootings. There was a mall shooting at the Regal Theater out here on 5th Street. Why? And I went to the movies this weekend. I saw the Little Mermaid movie with my family.
How was it, man?
It was not shoot at the screen worthy. I didn't see it to be shot up. I don't know what these gentlemen's, what movie they went to go see that they had to shoot at the screen, but I can tell you the Mermaid was not worth it.
What happens when black hair gets wet? I mean, was her perm good?
Oh, no, she was right. It was righteous. It was righteous.
Yeah.
It was a righteous movie. I'm a man, and I'm a father, so I have my own personal takes on it. But, you know, that's that.
How was the acting? Did she
did her thing.
She did her thing?
Yeah, she did
I
her
might
thing.
go see it then. I might go see it. I might go see it.
Minus the, you know, he looked too old to be with her, but minus that is, you know, it's Disney.
Oh, man.
Keep running.
Oh.
There was another shooting also at the Mills, Ontario Mills. There was evacuation there, a loud bang, and they had to evacuate it. So we got to calm down on that.
Yeah, man.
I got a story here that I want your opinion on, Eternal. The British cycling changes rules for transgender women. Yes, I know. Transgender women will no longer be allowed to compete in the female category in UK cycling races. The sports governing organization has announced. So now I have a number one sports guy on here. It's going to be kind of controversial, but what's your take on it? Meaning this situation where they are having transgenders and, you know, cis men or cis women, I guess that's the terminology, competing together. Have you experienced any of that with talking to the coaches or anything in your field? Have you guys come up to that situation?
Good question.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. But yeah, because obviously that's what's happening currently. But no, we've never really been presented with anything like that to date. In terms of, you know, it's you know, it's an interesting situation. Obviously, you have, you know, things are changing, and you know, we can't stay stagnant. However, I think what, you know, we're seeing across the board is there's a lot of pushback, obviously, from that. In particular with girls sports, where you're seeing, you know, transgender boys participate in girls sports, and there's been a lot of considerable pushback with that. So I don't really have a personal opinion on it myself, but I just
I
know,
do.
but I just know that I think as I think we should all I think there's some common sense that kind of comes involved in how we want to do sports and so forth. Because singular why you have the girls 100 meters and you have the boys 100 meters. Otherwise it would just be all inclusive. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a reason why we have it separated. So there's just there's a lot of stuff a lot of stuff to unpack with that, because it can it can get really really detailed. But at the end of the day, like you have when you have a daughter, and I think if you're in particular if you're playing like a contact sport or something like that, or even if it was track and field or something like that, where your daughter was there, she was really really good, but not good enough to beat the transgender athlete.
That's the whole point of it. Because
that would be obviously an issue. So
you look at the women that transition, they do not dominate the male sport, but the males that trans to the women's sport, they dominate. They completely. So it's not fair. I don't think it's fair at all.
Yeah, I think, but like I said, in terms of just personally, I don't really have. I'm not gonna really disclose really what I don't really have an opinion about that. That I'm willing to disclose currently, but just what the temperature is right now, I think what you see overall is there's a considerable pushback.
I think in the situation, I think in these situations, I had to get an opinion from my kid. She's 20, and their opinions might be different from ours. So
I
think we had to take that into consideration.
So you'd be cool if Mike Tyson started identifying as a woman?
It's not me.
Yeah.
It's their generation. The next generation is going to deal with this.
No question.
Well,
but like
you know
I said,
what I mean?
like
So-
right now, there was just I just know that there are some events that were taking place. Even as recently as yesterday, where there's just an overwhelming, well, not overwhelming, I would say a majority support where they're.
But I like how you stayed neutral, man, because you are a sports caster. So big, that's real smart of you, because when that situation can have a lot of blowback on you casting, because you might run into that, because this is sports that you're into.
Yeah. Which is one of those things, when we do our business, there's a situation where there's business and obviously there's personal. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain places all of them have their appropriate time.
But there's women getting hurt. Did y'all see that boxer that was boxing a woman and he broke?
It was an MMA.
Yeah, he broke her cheekbone.
Well, see, that's where if I'm the girl and I know that I'm gonna go in there, maybe I don't do that. You know what I mean? Again, that's just one of the you have to be, all things considered. You know what I mean? And I think what you're gonna see is. Which I just want to see. When you see sports, I enjoy. I'm a sports guy, and I just enjoy it. I have not even anything specific. And I was just watching. The other day I was watching softball, college softball. So I enjoy the sport. So you just want to see, as you were suggesting,
sports is supposed to be fair.
You just want things.
That's
be
like the NBA playing against the handicapped kids. That's not gonna be cool.
Yeah. So
there's got to be some kind of balance.
Yeah, no, and I think the mantra of what people advocate in sports is the reason why we enjoy it is because it is played and regulated as a fair sport. So
Exactly. That's what makes it enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? Two capable teams or athletes competing against each other in fair sport. That is what makes a sports event worthy or interesting to go to.
Yeah, but to make it interesting, why don't we just throw in a guy in the girls' sport? Let's mix it up a bunch. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
I'll put my money on. I'll put my money on that. Hey, I don't know the athlete's name, but it just popped into my head. A Ja Morant. Are you familiar with the Ja Morant? He got caught with a pistol, but the reason why I'm bringing it up, he's an athlete. He got caught up with a pistol a second time, but there was a quote saying like rap music is causing these young dudes to act like that. What's your opinion? You think the music is influencing the youth to wild out? Eternal, as far as sports, these guys, you know what I'm saying, they're trying to be rap stars per se.
Yeah, I think everything is relative. When you're the music, I think we listened to, and I think what our parents were concerned about during our time was how it was going to influence us. But the unique thing is same thing we were talking about being fair. I think with music you want to have balance. You want to have, I think, I used to listen to Too Short, but I was also listening to KRS One and Rakim. So there was some balance. You know what I mean? And so, and it's difficult to sit there. You don't want to. I remember, we coming up, a lot of the stuff. We came up in the era where parents just don't understand. So to now be in the parental role, and then we're trying to tell kids what not to listen to, is a bit contradictory. But nonetheless, when you see things like that happening that are a immediate reflection of what you see in the music, obviously you have to kind of take note of that. When you see these guys and they're in the videos and they're portraying ultimately exactly what the artist is doing, you can see that that there's a challenge, and it's difficult to say who's responsible for that. Difficult to say.
It is difficult.
It's just because because we don't. It's hard to condemn the artist for their art, and then, but with all of us, we try to, you want to have some personal choice. I think, John Murray, he's young, and I think it's difficult because, when we were young, I mean, some of the stuff that, I was doing when I was his age, had there been cell phone stuff, I probably wouldn't be in the position I'm in currently.
Correct.
No question.
None of us would.
Yeah. So it's really, really a challenge, man. I think it's one of those things where we are better served as trying to mentor people like that versus us trying to criticize them.
Bing.
And I think I'm trying to work on kind of getting in that space.
Yeah. Because we didn't listen when we was coming up. Jim Brown passed. I know, and this is a great opportunity to get some more information and knowledge. What's your take? How did you feel when you heard the news?
Yeah, I think Jim Brown had been ailing for some time, but obviously, nevertheless, it's always tragic to see for me a hero of mine to transition. I think he kind of started the athlete / social conscious person.
Definitely.
He left football early to get into acting. It was really highly criticized. I mean, Jim Brown's one of those people I've had the privilege to kind of research, and I know when he jumped out of football at the height of his career, and a lot of people were, a lot of the sports enthusiasts were really upset about that, just because, it was Jim Brown, choosing what he wanted to do versus the sport. And at that time, the sport was supposed to be the dominant thing that it was a privilege for you to play the sport. So how could you just leave the sport like that? So Jim Brown was the genesis of athletes taking ownership of themselves, and so
He got conscious.
yeah, and so I know I always admired Jim Brown. I was sharing the other day, I think one of the stories that really resonates with me about Jim Brown in terms of his impact is, one of my guys, Richard Pryor, on the Sunset Strip talked about when he was battling addiction, and at his height, when he was really, really at his height of his career, and at the height of his addiction, his wife called Jim Brown, and so just as a guy, when you say Richard Pryor and the wife calls Jim Brown, that kind of shows you, what the impact of who he is in terms of Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was the hottest thing moving during that time,
Man.
And so Richard Pryor coming over there, and Richard Pryor talks about it eloquently about, he was imposing. Jim Brown comes over, he's just, the same monotone person, really imposing, and he talks about how it worked, how Jim Brown came over and affected him, but still, honestly, which I really admire about Richard Pryor, talked about it still couldn't help his addiction.
Okay.
It still, the addiction was more powerful than even Jim Brown. And I think, that's something I identify with. Both my parents had addiction issues, you know what I mean? And so that was something I personally identified with. So
Yeah, Richard had a tough life though, man.
yeah. So Jim Brown is definitely revered. I think you see people like LeBron now that are doing the thing and kind of have similar. Now, obviously, they're not Jim Brown. Nobody's gonna, everybody's gonna be their own individual. But it's nice to see people like Jim Brown. I mean, people like LeBron James, ultimately being more conscious about their craft and understanding their role and helping other people.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Hey.
I like how you put that.
Oh, this guy's professional. You know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
I seen on the post. This is back to your business. I heard you guys got syndicated. What's going on? You guys going big now? You guys going Hollywood? Are you out of state, out of country?
We ain't gonna be able to talk to him no more. We ain't gonna be able to talk to him no more.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm gonna give you my secretary's number going forward.
Try not to speak directly to me.
No, man, we're really excited. Coach B and myself, we've been working. We're celebrating our 10th year on air.
That's what's up.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's been as you know, it's been a long time coming. We've been Coach B and myself. We've been at this for a while, man, and just learning a lot of it's been learning on the fly, and trying to figure out where we were going, and we really started to, my partner, Coach B always coins the phrase of brick by brick. And, when I first started, that was something that I didn't really want to adhere to because I was really used to more of an immediate situation.
More aggressive and more like.
No
But
question.
you influence a lot of kids, though, man. So you got to look at it in a
Oh, no,
positive light.
no question. But what it said, it's like I always advocate, it's good to have balance. You know what I'm saying? And so that was good for me during that time to have the balance. But nonetheless, to your point, so we're celebrating our 10th year on air. And we're gonna be which is crazy.
Are you having a blowout for this 10 year? What you gonna do?
We're probably gonna be in Vegas. We're gonna be in.
He pulled that on us real quick.
We're gonna be in Vegas at one of the rooftops somewhere. You know what I mean? But no, we're gonna be on 98.9 FM and then 1340 AM Fox Sports Radio in Vegas, and that'll be the first stages of our syndication process.
Sounds like a party, y'all.
Congratulations, my
Sounds
friends.
like a party.
Congratulations on that big milestone.
That's great, man.
Because I've seen it. Because that's, people in radio, that's ultimate goal is to be syndicated. And
We next.
We're going to follow. We're going to follow suit. It's going to take us another 10 years.
Yeah,
Donate.
But I said, well, hopefully no, because you're supposed to learn from people like ourselves. Just like and then that's supposed to make what you learning from us makes
Pass
the
the ball to you.
Yeah, it makes the process shorter. So you shouldn't have to, that's the thing. One of my people, and I've never gotten an opportunity to meet him in person, but I learned from people like Byron Allen and
You met him?
I haven't got a chance to meet him yet.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
I was on his TV show, his comedy show, when he had a comedy show.
Yeah, no. He's extremely influential in what I'm doing.
He's rich now.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just like, like I'll give an example. How we look at our business is, and I'll try to keep this brief, but you have during our time, Arsenio Hall was out. Excuse me.
No,
We
you're
good?
fine. No,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
No,
You good,
no,
baby.
just keep talking.
Roll with it.
Arsenio Hall was out, and then you had Byron Allen. And so, obviously, during that time, Arsenio Hall was like the hottest thing moving. You know what I mean? And Byron Allen was like this show that came on at 12 midnight on
1 in the morning.
Yeah, 1 in the morning. And
It was after Mexican Olympics. I remember that.
and the show was ashy. It reminded me of my show, like when I was doing TV. I look like my stuff. You know what I mean? But it was ashy. It was really, the production really wasn't there. And it was like, kind of looked like B-list, C-list at best, in particular where Arsenio Hall stuff looked A-list. However, the difference between the two, Arsenio Hall and Byron Allen, was that Arsenio Hall was an employee and Byron Allen was an owner. And so when the network decided to discontinue Arsenio's run, it made it, he wasn't able to get back that same kind of stardom that he had when he had it with the company, whereas Byron Allen's star was rising because he owned his product. And so we learned that. We learned that it's important to own your stuff.
Yeah.
Amen.
And so ownership comes with a cost. You don't, in particular here in America, everything, there's a cost. So ownership means that you have to pay the cost. You have to pay, you have to pay, you have to either pay it monetarily, or you got to pay it with time.
Because if Arsenio would have owned that, he would have still been going.
He'd still be on.
You know what stopped him, right?
Well, he just didn't own it.
No.
Yeah,
What stopped him is when he had Farrakhan on the show.
Well,
and they got mad at him for the
But-
network got mad at him for
but-
having him on there.
That's not essentially what stopped it. What essentially stopped him was because he didn't own it. You know what I mean? Like,
True that.
That's the thing. You know, if you own it, doesn't matter who you have on there. You know what I'm saying? You can.
Yeah, if you own it, you can have anybody you
anybody
want.
you want on there. So, but that's the lesson we learned with that, and so like, yeah, that's why we're ultimately doing what we're doing now.
Okay. I appreciate that. That's more knowledge. What you got going on in the near future? Meaning like with the kids.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. We just got through. During this time, in particular, with a lot of the athletes, and so football in particular. During this time, the athletes are coming back. So for instance, for the last, I'd say 3 years, we've been doing this camp with a gentleman named Marcus Williams. He's out of the Eastville area, graduated from Roosevelt High School. So we used to work with him. And he became a pro for the New Orleans Saints. We did his first ever camp, and it was free. And that's one of the reasons why we really did. He had limited space, but it was free, and I enjoyed that about it. I think doing that and making sure the kids have that thing going was great. And I was always, because when I came up, I never. We would just dream about seeing somebody that came from the NFL. You know what I mean? We never saw anything like that. And so for him to come back, I thought it was great for the kids to come out. So during this time and during the summer, we're just really promoting a lot of people that have their camps. We just did an interview with a kid named Jordan McLaughlin. He's out of Etiwanda High School. Great kid, has a phenomenal story, undrafted, and really had to hustle and work his way in. Somebody that kind of, he was, when he came out of Etiwanda, he went to USC, and he's one of those kids you thought, sky was the limit, but ultimately ended up being undrafted and had to work his way up into the NBA, and now he's doing his thing, and so it was just really great. And my nephew's very there, so he's doing the camp nonetheless.
Your nephew's in the camp?
Well, my nephews were able to meet him and so forth and talk to him, and so it's kind of because they're aspiring, they want to go to the league, and so it was good for them.
I seen the youngest one. He was twice my height.
Yeah, yeah.
That ain't hard to do, Mike.
Twice my height. So he's ready.
Yeah, both of them are, and my niece as well.
Yeah.
My niece, she's a 4.0 student. She graduated.
Big ups on that.
Yeah, we're excited about her progress. But no, yeah, so during this time is the camps, and then we have some things we're doing. Matter of fact, this Friday we'll be at Pechanga Casino. We're doing something with Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns.
Pechangas.
What? Yeah.
Which one is that one? By Temecula?
That's Temecula.
Temecula.
Yeah. So
Pechangas.
We're really excited about that.
Wait, who? Sugar Ray?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Word.
Yeah, and Tommy Hearns.
That's what's up.
Yeah. We're excited
Those are
about
big
that.
names.
Oh yeah, no question. And so we'll be doing that, and there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening with casino stuff we got going on. We're doing some stuff from Morongo for the summer. They're doing their Oasis pool stuff.
Speaking of Morongo, you just had the event there with the kids and everything.
Yeah.
What was that event? Because I didn't attend. What was that event, and who did it honor?
Yeah, that was the Inland Empire Inland Empire Prep Basketball Awards, where we honored the Player of the Year for Riverside and San Bernardino, the Coach of the Year for both girls and boys basketball, and then we had we gave away Outstanding Achievement Awards for 2 coaches and 2 players. But that was at Morongo. Great event, man. It was really
it was a tuxedo event.
Yeah,
right?
it was a formal event. It wasn't we wore tuxedos, but it was a formal event. But yeah, no, Morongo, great place. They really did it up. It was really good. They took care of us, and more so it was really great for the kids.
Yeah.
I was really a lot of stuff we do is making sure that these kids have a memorable moment, and we're excited about businesses participating in that effort. So
I was getting my car fixed the other day, and then for some strange reason, as you know, people just come up and talk to me because I look like that guy. Anyways, the man that I was talking to me was talking about his son being in sports, playing baseball, and the coach was not playing him. So he addressed the coach, and he said, "Why you not playing my son?" And the coach gave, XYZ. But what I took from it was the father said that when the kid was not getting played, that's when the kid's morale went down. He ended up dropping out of school. He ended up joining the gang, and that was his life.
That's the purpose of
And
young
so
sports.
when I was
Everybody
speaking to the
plays, yeah.
dude, I spoke to the dude. I was like, it was very important for that child to stay in the sports. To his detriment, he had a bad coach. And is that a case that you run into? Like, do you feel like bad teachers, bad
question.
coaches can derail students?
Certainly, but this is where the village comes in. I've had several bad coaches, but my father instilled in me really, really young that I wasn't going to be able to quit, and so you have to have that reinforcement. You know what I'm saying? Because there are, these coaches are, to their credit, they're underpaid, underserved. A lot of them are, they're extensions of people's parents when they're out there, you know what I mean? And the parents are on their head. And a lot of stuff that you see these coaches go through and experience, you don't get a chance to really see, for yourself. So when we come out there, we're coming out there. And I had to learn that when we ran our own personal organization. I had to, because I was now in the organization seat, and I remember I used to be shouting at the coach, "Hey man, what's going on?" And so when you're there actually doing it and you're participating, you learn a lot more, and you learn to kind of gain a little bit more respect for the coaches and what they have to go through. So a lot of times, what I tell parents is, really work with the kid, talk to the kid first before you go and start to yell at the coach. Really kind of get to the kids, and then
What you doing, Blue?
and then try to approach the coach differently. When the game is happening, maybe like before the game it's a little bit different. But even before the game and after the game, it's like the coach is just in the zone as the kid is. He's trying to his effort is trying to win the game. So you have to kind of like figure out what you want to do when you see coaches like that. You have a challenge with them instead of just shouting at them from the rafters. Is schedule a time where you can talk to them independently when there's not as much fanfare, and that's kind of the thing that I pull from that.
Well, show's coming to an end, but we're not there yet. I wrote a book for my rap guys, but there is a scene in the book about we went to the gym. The guys went to the gym and shut down the gym. And I was pulling that from personal history. You have to read the book and find out what we was doing back then. Apple Valley, it's great stories of how we used to support the home team to the point where they didn't want us to come to the games no more.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we was that much into it.
No question.
Into it. So before we leave, please give the audience your handle, and it will be in the show notes, but let
certainly. I appreciate that. We're on Fox Sports Radio every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. It's Fox Sports Radio 1350 is available on the iHeartRadio app, and then you can follow us at IE Sportsnet, as IE Sports and plural net, and that's all over the social platforms. And then then I'm available at ETIE Sports.
ETIE Sports. Cosmo, what you got going on this week?
Man, not this week, but in 3 weeks I have the Jazz Fest downtown in White Park. Man, we got Stephanie Mills and Lenny Williams. Man, it's gonna be like an old school event that you just ain't seen in a while.
I'm gonna come with the knee-high church socks.
Man,
Knee-high church
you
socks.
better be there. Hosted by Cosmo. Man, it's
I
gonna
gotta
be a
give props.
blast.
I gotta give props to the wife. If I don't give props to the wife, I can't come home. Lelaine Dixon Zumba. If you're into dancing and want to get healthy, please follow her. I do websites. Holler at me. Campaign promotions. ILAMCO. And real quick, there was because of my kerfuffle
Where'd you get that word at?
off the internet.
Okay, go fuck.
I found this in my book. It said self-confidence, self-control, self-respect, self-initiative, self-esteem, selflessness.
The self,
And that's what I exercised down there in Palm Springs before my glasses got broken by Debo. But nonetheless, it's gonna work. Oh, I'm looking for new shades. If you're in the business of
Sunglass
shadings,
sponsor, yeah.
and
I got
you
your
want me to
back, man.
promote you,
Debo ain't gonna get you
I
no
want
more.
free so I can promote your stuff and then put my name on the side of it.
what it
This
is.
has been a great show.
Man,
Thank you, Eternal, for spending your time with us.
Congratulations too, man.
Thank you, sir.
pleasure for you to be here, baby.
And Portia, hold me down.
Yes.
Yes, Portia's been holding us down for every day of the show. Come, yeah. Give her
Here
a
we
shout
go.
out.
Appreciate that.
So, outside of that, check us out on social media. Mike Flex on Instagram, Casual Conversation Talk Show on Instagram, Facebook. I'm the only Mike Flex, the only one and only. So.
There's one more somewhere.
No.
No, there's no more Mike Flex.
God
Hey, hold
said
on.
no.
Hey, who gave you the name?
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM. The